It is that time of the week to outwork your league mates on the waiver wire. Yes, week 8 hasn't hit yet, but we can go ahead and stash high upside value players before your league mates even become aware of them after week 8. If you would have thought about stashing Kamani Vidal before his breakout, your team would be in a much better spot right now. So we're going to help you accomplish exactly that today. I'm Lucas Wencl here with Fantasy Pros, bringing you my top 5 waiver wire stashes ahead of week 8 and next week's waiver run as well. Before we dive on into that list of players, though, we've got a special deal going on for you all right now. Unlock a month of Betting Pros Premium for free. Download the Betting Pros app today and use promo code FP1month. Get access to tools like the Same Game Parlay tool, the Prop Bet Analyzer, and the Prize Picks Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. Don't miss out. Try it 100% free for 1 month now, available both on iOS and Android. Kicking off our list this week is Kansas City Chiefs running back Brashard Smith, who is rostered in 30% of leagues. I know we're sitting at the very tip top of my 30% threshold to start the video, but Brashard Smith is someone I've brought up multiple times this year, and I do think he needs to be rostered in more than 30% of leagues. I also want to make sure we fully understand the context of his box score from week 7. Before we dive too far into that, 19 touches for Brashard Smith is really encouraging, but 13 of his 28 snaps did come in garbage time, and to take that even further, the Chiefs pulled all of their starters at the end of the third quarter as they were absolutely rolling the Las Vegas Raiders. So while 14 attempts is super encouraging for Brashard Smith, who had only seen a high of 4 attempts in any game prior, it was largely influenced by the Chiefs just obliterating the Raiders and also a Kareem Hunt injury earlier in the game. But still, looking ahead at Brashard Smith's future value, I think he's still a very high quality stash on one of the best offenses in the NFL right now. As much as the Chiefs are Super Bowl contenders and Kareem Hunt is like maybe a part of that vision question mark, they know they can't ride Kareem Hunt long-term in this offense. Brashard Smith also clearly has the pass-catching chops as a converted wide receiver. I believe it's three straight games with 3+ catches. In this game, 5 catches on 5 targets for 42 yards. That is nothing to slouch at. That is valuable PPR upside that Brashard Smith is giving you. And if anything does happen to Isaiah Pacheco, who says we don't get more Brashard Smith games like this with double-digit carries and high-value usage in the receiving game? Again, I know we're at the top of the 30% threshold for these videos, but I want to make sure I stash upside pieces on good NFL offenses on my fantasy rosters. And the clock is ticking, I think, for how much longer you actually have to stash Brashard Smith. The second player on our list this week is Indianapolis Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce, who is rostered in 27% of leagues. For how insanely good this Colts offense has been, I do think Alec Pierce is going to wind up being a weekly contributor for this team. I fully recognize there's multiple mouths to feed here, right? We've got Tyler Warren, obviously. You've got Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor in the run game. Hello. But if we were to strip away the blue and white and take away the Indianapolis Colts logo and just give you the raw stats for this offense, you would be wanting pieces of this offense, assuming it was a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. The Colts are the number 1 scoring offense in fantasy football. They are second in EPA per pass behind only the New England Patriots this year. They lead the league in EPA per play overall, and they lead the league in success rate by 1.5%. That is a huge part as to why Alec Pierce has given you double-digit fantasy points in 3 of 5 games this year and drew a career-high 10 targets against the Chargers last week. I will also recognize Josh Downs was out with a concussion in that game, so that obviously helps. And as of this recording, Josh Downs has been limited at practice this week. But we also know how crazy good the spike weeks can be for Alec Pierce. He has the 3rd highest average depth of target of all wide receivers this year, and he's 6th of all wide receivers in air yard share. Alec Pierce plays a unique role in this Colts offense that is very different from Michael Pittman, very different from Josh Downs, very different from Tyler Warren. He is the explosive deep threat for this team. So I do think if your team is ever hit hard by bye weeks, especially this week with 6 teams on bye, like Alec Pierce is a fair home run swing to play in your flex. And even for the rest of the season, if Michael Pittman or Josh Downs miss any time, it's very clear that Alec Pierce is next man up and will be utilized. The next player on our list is New York Jets running back Isaiah Davis, who is rostered in 15% of leagues. I had brought up stashing Isaiah Davis after Braylon Allen's injury in week 4, not because I expected it to bear a ton of instant fruit, but more so because you had a guaranteed handcuff for 8 to 12 weeks while Braylon Allen recovers. The Isaiah Davis stash value right now is at an all-time high, and he absolutely needs to be rostered in more than 15% of leagues because there is a lot a lot of noise about Breece Hall being traded ahead of the trade deadline. Diana Rossini has reported this, and reporters like Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano have labeled the Jets as quote-unquote active sellers before the trade deadline. Now, the deadline isn't until Tuesday, November 4th, so by the time you see this video, we still have like 10 or so days, but the closer we get to that November 4th trade deadline, the buzz is only going to get louder, and as the buzz gets louder, your league mates will start to put 2 and 2 together and realize Isaiah Davis is the direct backup to Breece Hall, because no other running back on the roster has gotten a touch outside of Breece Hall and Isaiah Davis with Braylon Allen out. Now, I'm not in the business of trying to fake sell you on little to no meaningful stats for Isaiah Davis. He's only totaled 14 opportunities in 3 full games without Braylon Allen, but the prospect of him potentially being the Jets' lead back coming out of their Week 9 bye should be intriguing enough for you to stash him now, because like I said, once the trade buzz on Breece Hall becomes deafening, it will already be too late to stash Isaiah Davis. The fourth player on our list is Houston Texans wide receiver Jaylin Noel, who is rostered in 7% of leagues. Look, I still have no clue what Nick Caley is waiting on here with both Jaden Higgins and Jaylin Noel. To me, it is inexcusable to take both of these guys with day 2 picks in the NFL draft and be playing Xavier Hutchinson and now Braxton Berrios ahead of them, who Braxton Berrios was inactive for the last 5 games, yet here he is playing more snaps than Jaylin Noel. It's inexcusable to me. Similar to what I talked about with Jaden Higgins last week, I just don't see it being sustainable to play Braxton Berrios in the slot ahead of Jaylin Noel rest of season. Late in the game on Monday Night Football against Seattle, the Texans were in hurry-up offense, and it was Jaylin Noel on the field more frequently than Braxton Berrios, thankfully. That led to Noel drawing 7 targets on the evening while compiling 77 yards, and his 11.7 fantasy points was the most of any Texans wide receiver. He also ran 3.08 yards per route this past week, which was actually the 8th best of all wide receivers. He also drew a target on 28% of his routes, and his average depth of target was 18 yards. Those are great numbers for a rookie like Jaylin Noel. Texans GM Nick Caserio said about Jaylin Noel this week, he's quote-unquote earned his opportunity. So please, Houston, let's just get this man on the football field. As of this recording, it seems like Nico Collins is unlikely going to play this week after suffering a concussion against Seattle. That should hopefully help Jaylin Noel get on the field a bit more if Christian Kirk were to miss a second straight game as well. All it takes is one big game with these rookies before people jump all over them. So I would be stashing Jaylin Noel, who, fingers crossed, is actually going to get more opportunities in Week 8. The last player on our list this week is Chicago Bears tight end Colston Loveland, who's rostered in 23% of leagues. This is a slightly puzzling one to me, because Cole Kmet suffered a back injury last week against the Saints and didn't practice to open the week. So we could be in a spot here for Loveland to finally see the spike in snaps and production we have been waiting for all season. Yet his roster percentage has actually dipped over the last 2 weeks. Again, I don't know Kmet's status for certain as of this recording, but even if he is playing banged up, I'd bet Loveland to be playing ahead of him this week. For these rookie tight ends, it always takes time, right? We often get mesmerized by the Brock Bowers, Tyler Warren this year, the Sam Laportas of the world, and make that our expectation for these guys, when in reality, it often takes half a season, if not a full entire season, for these rookie tight ends to actually get acclimated to the game speed of NFL. The reason I'm maintaining confidence in Colston Loveland, though, is because, number one, I'm a believer in the talent. He's a matchup problem at 6'6", 248 with his acceleration. He finished with 35% of Michigan's receiving yards last year. That was the second highest of any FBS tight end. And Ben Johnson knows all of this, right? He's a smart dude. We saw him turn Sam Laporta into a stud during his rookie season, and that upside still remains for Colston Loveland. The number 2 reason why I'm still maintaining hope, though, is because the Chicago Bears offense is only going to continue getting their footing. Ben Johnson came in, and he had a lot of culture fixing to do with this team after the mess Shane Waldron and company left it in last season. So Johnson was preaching basics all offseason. And now that we see this offense starting to get its footing, we may start to see Ben Johnson install the expansion pack here for this offense. So what it comes down to, though, is that Kmet, for this week at least, likely won't be 100% healthy. So we could see the snap shares flip between these two. And that's what ultimately sparks Loveland into being a high-quality stash for me rest of season, because we could finally see this upside start to hit in this Bears offense. And there you have it, my top 5 waiver wire stashes ahead of week 8. Again, these players are rostered in 30% of leagues or less. So go ahead, sprint to your waiver wire right now and make sure they're not picked up in any of your leagues. But before we sign off here, though, remember, we've got a special deal going on for you all. Unlock a month of Betting Pros Premium for free. Download the Betting Pros app today and use promo code FP1month. Get access to tools like the Same Game Parlay tool, the Prop Bet Analyzer, and the Prize Picks Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. Don't miss out. Try it 100% free for 1 month now, available both on iOS and Android.